Welcome back to the channel. Let's just get straight to this, so this doesn't seem like a clickbait title. 25-06 Remington. Guys, I'm afraid it's very much a dying cartridge. So in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the reasons why it's dying, why people go with other cartridges instead of the 25-06 Remington. And finally, I kind of want to share with you the ideal powders for 25-06 Remington. For you hand loaders that love this little cartridge, hopefully this video will help you. That's crazy. I mean, I knew 25 caliber was kind of a niche caliber, but holy cow, I didn't realize the quote-unquote most popular 25 caliber was this dead. And honestly, you could make a very strong argument going forward, or even now. I'm not sure the numbers on, how many rifles are being sold from Weatherby versus 25-06, but man, you could make a very strong argument that the 257 Weatherby is going to be the most popular 25 caliber. And fellas, if Hornady ever decides to release the 25 PRC, 25-06 Remington is cooked. It's a goner. I mean, it already isn't very popular, but everyone would be getting a 25 PRC over even a fast twist 25-06. All right, now that we talked about the unfortunate demise of 25-06 Remington, let's get the most out of this cartridge. For those that own one, I know they absolutely love it. It's a very underrated cartridge. I want to talk about how to get the best accuracy, the most velocity with these types of bullets. All right, if I didn't upset you in the beginning of calling the 25-06 Remington a dying cartridge, this is probably going to upset some people. All of these powders, you shouldn't be using them in 25-06 Remington unless you have a 1-in-8 twist and you're shooting like 130 grain bullets. Then some of these do make sense. But for a 1-in-10 twist 25-06, all of these Magnum powders are too slow. One of the challenges with hand loading 25-06 Remington is you're shooting very light, very small bullets in a relatively big case. Yeah, you could definitely say the 25-06 Remington is an overbore cartridge. Now, why is this an issue? Is ideally you want to get as much case fill as possible while still having 100% burnt propellant. And well, to fill up this case, you need slower burning powder, but that means you're not going to have 100% burnt propellant. A lot of the data I'm going to be giving you, if we're over 90% case fill, it's going to be a great powder. All right, to get an idea of the ideal powders for 25-06 Remington, we're going to put it in Gordon's reloading tool. Now we're going to use a 24-inch barrel. The reason I'm using a 24-inch barrel, not a 26, is out of the 3 companies that make 25-06 Remingtons, the longest barrel you can get one in is a 24-inch. I'm sure back in the day you could get them in 26, but as of now you can't. All right, we're going to start light. I think this is an awesome bullet for the 25-06 Remington. Really great for antelope and deer. The bullet is the Barnes TTSX 80 grain. We're going to start with Vihtavuori N550. And what we're topping out at is almost 3,700 feet per second at 65,000 PSI. And that is absolutely moving. I don't care how, dumpy of a BC that the 80 grain TTSX is at 3,700 feet per second. Whoo-wee. That's really good. All right, let's go ahead and go through a list of powders that would be ideal for the 80 grain TTSX. We're going to start with the good powders. This means, well, it doesn't get to 90% case fill, but it's still pretty darn good powder for your cartridge. Let's start with N540. 88% case fill, a top velocity of 36.25 feet per second. N555, we have the exact opposite issue. So we have a really good case fill, but it's a little bit slow burning for an 80 grain TTSX bullet in 25-06. So what does the small window mean? That means you have a small window of where you're still under 65,000 PSI and you have 100% burnt propellant. Not ideal. Lastly, IMR 4064. Yeah, this one, case fill is a little low, but man, this powder just works. It's a faster burning powder, so your velocities aren't going to be as high at 3575. Now let's get to the ideal, the really good, the great powders for 25-06 in an 80 grain bullet. N550, as I just showed you in GRT, you're getting close to 3,700 feet per second with 94% case fill. N150, really good case fill, a bit slower, but boy does that powder shoot well. IMR 4350, 3,630 feet per second, 97% case fill. For those that have access to Alliant powders, Reloader 17, yeah, it gets you amazing velocity at a decent case fill, 92%. And last and not least, H4350, almost 3,700 feet per second and 91% case fill. Okay, back to GRT. We're going to bump the bullet up to, well, GRT is 100 grain TTSX, but we're going to simulate this as if it was the 101 LRX, which I think is one of the coolest bullets in 25 caliber. Still 24-inch barrel. This time, since we have a heavier bullet, we can use a little bit slower burning powder. This might be the best powder for a 101 grain bullet in 25-06 N160. And we are topping out around 3,350 feet per second with almost 100% case fill. Really good. Let's go ahead and look at the good powders for the 101 LRX, starting with H4350. It's a little fast burning and not the best case fill, but it's still a really good powder. Then you have Reloader 17, really fast velocities again with 89% case fill. And then, well, it has really good case fill. It's a little slow burning for a 101 grain bullet. So you have a very small window, again, of having 100% burnt propellant before you hit 65,000 PSI, but I'm sure some of you have gotten really good accuracy out of Reloader 19. On to the ideal and the great powders for the 101 LRX. N550, you know, it barely makes the cut as great with the 91% case fill. Really good velocity at 3,380. And then again, N160, for me, I think that's just about ideal with almost 100% case fill, 3,350. N555, another really good one, 3,355, 97% case fill. And then N150, a little bit slower again. It barely makes a cut for case fill. And look at that, IMR 4350, 3,320 feet per second and 94% case fill. All right, the last bullet I want to look in GRT with is the 110 grain Nosler AccuBond. It's one of my favorite bullets. It's, funny enough, has been the most consistent bullet in my 257 Weatherby. So I really love it. Obviously, all the same stuff, 24-inch barrel. We're going to go with Vitavori N555. We're topping out around 30 feet per second with 96% case fill. It's pretty darn good. Now let's look at the good to great powders for the 110 AccuBond. Reloader 17. Really good velocity. Not the best case fill, but still pretty good. H4350. Really good velocity. Kind of low on the case fill, but not bad. And then N550. Well, it barely misses the great cut. 3250, 90% case fill. Let's get to the ideal powders for the 110 AccuBond. Reloader 19. Oof, if you want velocity, this is it. 98% case fill, really good. Only problem is no one really can get Alliant powders. N555, as I said, really good stuff. 32, 35, a little on the slower end, but good case fill. Okay, N160, 3230, 99% case fill. Really good powder. Look at that, the little powder that could. It's funny enough, IMR 4350, it kind of works and is ideal with almost all of the bullet weights in 25-06. Yeah, you're not going to get the highest velocity, but man, IMR 4350 just works. Even 94% case fill. Now the question is, why is the 25-06 Remington specifically never really been a huge success? I mean, sure, it's been relatively successful for 25 caliber, but compared to other calibers, it's pretty dead. I want to show you why, okay? So we're looking at the 110 AccuBond, and as you know, it's going, ideally probably 3250 with certain powders, with N555 3230-ish at 65,000 PSI. It's pretty respectable, but what happens when we go up to its bigger brother, the 270 Winchester with a 24-inch barrel? And look at that, Nosler also makes a 110 AccuBond, and sadly the BC is not that different at 370, and the 25 caliber BC is 418. And oh boy, it's going 200 feet per second faster than a 25-06 Remington. Ouch. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm kind of sad the 25-06 is dying, but maybe it's always been kind of dead. Let me know in the comments what you think. Again, guys, if you hand load 25-06 Remington, these are the powders you're going to want to use.